If you're looking for ways to organize and store your old seed packets, well, you're in the right place. In this video, I share with you my favorite seed storage container and some tips and tricks on how to use it the best way possible. Hi folks, Alex here with Small Farm Efficiency, helping you save time, save space, and save money in your small farmer garden. On this channel, I share what's going on my 1/8 acre market garden and give you tips on growing a ton of food in a small space without wasting time. Today, I'm going to be going over this container for storing your old seed packets and organizing them really well. I'm going to explain to you how I use it and different ways you can use this container to store your seeds really effectively and efficiently and keep them nice and organized. I'm going to go over some tips and tricks that I personally use in order to make this seed storage container even better. And then make sure you stay to the end of the video today, where I'm going to be going over one bonus tip that can help you save hours every single season that you're growing with this seed storage container. Okay, before we get started, I just want to mention the main things you want to think about when storing your seeds are to keep your seeds in a cool, dark, and dry space. If you're doing that, that's going to keep them nice and healthy and able to germinate in future years. So the most important thing to think about when storing your seeds is cold, dark, and dry. If you're not doing those things, no matter how well you're organized and all of that, it's not going to matter because the seeds that you keep from the previous year to try to germinate the next year aren't going to germinate. So keep that in mind. Now, I just kind of want to go in looking at this container, talking about it, talking about why I like it, and so let's jump right into it. So we'll open it up. And so this is actually an old storage container for photographs. So you can see the entire thing has several different sections, different cells you can store things in. And so they each can come out like this, and then it comes with little labels, you see. So label each box within the whole thing, and it's super nice because that way you can just look at it from the top and grab what you're going for. You don't have to be going through each of the packets and reading them, and you can really do, you know, whatever you want with the labeling. Maybe there's a few things that you have a ton of, and so you're labeling it by individual plant. Like I have tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, carrots. But then also maybe something like herbs. You want to grow some herbs, but you don't want to have a different container for every single herb. So I just have one container that's herbs, so everything that falls in that category is in there. Another thing I like to do is sometimes I test out just individual things that I've never grown before just for fun. So I have a box that's just for miscellaneous. And so in this, you know, if I want to order some new seeds this year that I've never grown, I'll throw them in there. That way I don't have to have an entire container for it, or I don't have to buy an entire new box. So that's worked out really well for me. So this container does a good job of keeping things cool and dry if you're storing it somewhere like in your basement where it's already relatively cool and dry. The one thing with the containers being clear plastic, depending on the seeds, if you have a white package or if you don't have any kind of package, maybe you have them in like a plastic bag or something, it might not be as dark as you want it to be. So one thing I was thinking that could be kind of cool is, do you guys know those duct tapes that have the patterns on them, the designs? You could get a few rolls of those, and I don't know, maybe they even have some with, you know, plants or flowers or whatever you're growing. You could wrap each individual pack with the duct tape that represents what's in it, or just get a cool design in general and wrap the whole thing up. I was thinking that would be one way to improve this, make it all dark, and then you just want to make sure you have your labels on the outside so that you don't cover those up with the duct tape and then you don't know what's in which one, which sort of defeats the purpose of trying to organize your seeds anyway. So one really nice feature of this setup is that the entire thing closes and locks. You can carry this around with you if you're going from, you know, place to place, storing this somewhere, moving it to the nursery, whatever you want. You can take everything with you really easily. But then also, if you're just starting one thing, maybe a bunch of the stuff that you're starting doesn't need to be seeded for a few more weeks, but one thing you like to start really early, you can just take one individual packet, take it with you. That way you don't have all of your seeds with you taking up space on the table, getting in the way. You just have one thing that you need, you use it, put it back, return it to where it goes, and then you're good to go. Now, one tip that I've found particularly useful with this setup is to use something like a notepad, note card, or a sticky notes, and on those, since you have a decent amount of space, you're not filling up this entire box with your seed packets most likely, and if you are, you can just spill them over into a second one. But anyway, so I like to take a sticky note and just write some notes and stick them into this box. You can see I have a sticky note here, the words are on the other side of it. But anyway, so, you know, maybe you grow some seeds in here, you put the packet in there, but then once the vegetable grew, you ate it, you thought, oh, I don't really like those tomatoes, they're not very sweet. You can take notes on your note card or sticky pad, and then when you see it, the next year you open it up, you go to start planning what you're going to grow that year, you can see, oh, I wasn't really too fond of that variety. Maybe you don't grow as many or any of them that year. So I just felt like that's a super easy and effective way to keep yourself organized, because sometimes, you know, you forget to write something down one year and then you think, oh, what was that variety that didn't germinate very well last year? And unless you wrote it somewhere or typed it on your computer, you're not going to remember. This way you've got it all in one place and you don't forget anything that you really wanted to remember from the previous year that you just forgot to write down. So now I'm going to share with you guys the tip that can help you save hours when you're starting and ordering seeds every year just by using this setup for your seed storage container. So here's what I like to do. On the sticky note or note card that I keep inside of each container with the seed packets, I like to write on the sticky notes when to seed each of the plants and then also when they germinate. And so that way when I go in the next year to start growing and seeding, I can open up the case that has my tomatoes in it and look and see, oh, this says start the tomato seeds 8 weeks before the last frost. And, you know, these particular seeds take about 7 days to germinate based on what happened last year. So that way, instead of having to look on the back of every single packet and see what it says, or, you know, maybe there's something you haven't grown in a few years that you want to start growing again. I don't know how much time I've spent just Googling or reading the back of seed packets to figure out when I should start sowing these seeds and starting them indoors versus transplanting them, whether it's even worth it to try to get a head start starting indoors. Maybe you should just direct seed outdoors. It's so easy to just write that down on your note that you put inside of each container, and then you open it up, see what you need to do, and then you're good to go. You don't need to spend a ton of time with that. Now, the second thing that can really save you a ton of time is to leave a space at the bottom of your note and track your inventory. I've been doing that, and it's just been so useful, and I think that this is one of the best tips I can give you for this setup. So next year, when you go to order your seeds, instead of thinking, oh, what do I have, what do I need, maybe you have to go and look through all of your packets, see how many are in there. You have to decide what you want to grow. This way, if it's all just tracked on the notepads inside of each of these, you can just look and say, oh, I'm out of this variety, I still have plenty of these. This was something I wanted to try new that I didn't have last year. That way you go through there, bring this up with you to your computer, to your seed catalog, whatever you're ordering from. That way you can refer to this instead of having to think, instead of having to go and look and see what you have physically. You just have it all written down. I think that's going to save people tons of time. So let me know, guys, if you've wasted a ton of time trying to figure out what to order. I know that personally, when I go to order seeds, sometimes I get a little carried away looking at everything and dreaming about what I might be able to grow. And, you know, usually it turns out I order the same things I like to grow every single year. But let me know if you've wasted a ton of time like I have, and hopefully this tip can help you guys. I know it's helped me a ton. So if you guys have been starting your seeds and germinating them indoors and getting ready for the outdoor season, if you would like any tips on how to be more efficient and be faster starting your seeds, check out this video right over here where I explain to you guys my 5 best tips for being more efficient with your time while you're starting seeds. You can get tons of seeds planted extremely quickly just by following these tips that I have for you guys. If you want to learn to be more efficient growing vegetables in your small-scale farm or garden, consider subscribing to my channel for more ways to save time, save space, and save money while growing vegetables.